In this video, I wanted to share with you some of my favorite gold companies to buy in 2025. When compiling this list, I'm thinking about what companies have a lot of stuff going on this year or big things happening this year that could really drive the stock price higher. Now, I don't just want to choose any gold company that depends on the price of gold going up. I want other things happening within the company that may re-rate the stock higher over the course of the year. So that's kind of what I'm thinking when I'm compiling this list. As always, these are just my opinions based on my own research, and I do get a lot of stuff wrong. And as always, do a lot of your own research before considering investing any money into any of these stocks. The first company that I think is going to have a really great year in 2025 is B2 Gold. It trades in the US under the ticker BTG, and right now it's at $2.83 per share. 2024 was really rough for B2 Gold. But B2 Gold has a lot of catalysts coming up this year that could move the share price higher. First of all is they're about to finish the construction at their new Goose mine. They've been spending a lot of money at this mine. As a matter of fact, in 2024, they spent $739 million between building it, and that's US dollars, building it, supplies, plus exploration. They spent about $750 million there. And that's all cash outflow, but pretty soon that's going to go from being a giant drain on cash to generating a lot of cash, because after it's ramped up to full capacity, that's going to be producing about 300,000 low-cost ounces per year. And as we get towards ramping up to full capacity, there's a number of milestones along the way that could move this share price higher. For example, them saying, hey, we finished construction and we finished it on our revised budget. And also, we get our first gold pour, and then you ramp up to commercial production, and then you ramp up to nameplate capacity. And then each quarter, it's contributing more and more cash to the balance sheet. As each one of those things happen, I think the stock price is going to go higher. And also, going over to Africa and their Mali mine, they're getting into higher grades in 2025. So they're going to be mining much higher grades there than they were in 2024. So that's going to push production up, and that's going to push costs down. But it doesn't stop there. Also, they have their Fekula regional permit that's still pending. When they get that, I think the stock price is going to go up. They have the Fekula underground permit pending. When they get that permit, I think the stock is going to go up. But in 2025, CapEx is going to be way down compared to 2024, and production is going to be much higher. So I think there's a lot of things working in favor for the stock price to go up. Based on what I see coming, I would be surprised if this isn't a $5 stock by the end of the year if the gold price stays somewhere around where it's at today at $2,900 per ounce. And for clarity, my personal investment time horizon for this stock is the end of 2026, but I also think 2025 is going to be a very good year. The next stock I think is going to do well in 2025 is Origin Royalties. This trades over the counter in the US under the ticker OGNRF and is currently at $1.07 per share. This stock was up a lot in 2024, but I think it still has quite a bit of room to run. Compared to B2 Gold, Origin is a safer play. It probably has less upside, but I think it also probably has less potential downside. So this company has a royalty on this huge gold project in Nevada that's being advanced by AngloGold Ashanti. Now, AngloGold Ashanti has done a ton of drilling on Origin's royalty boundary that we don't know what's there. I mean, we know there's 16.3 million ounces on Origin's royalty boundary, but they've done a whole lot of drilling besides that. And the company, AngloGold, hasn't given us really any information about all those other drill holes. But there's no way they're doing all of those drill holes and investing all that money into that if they're not finding something substantial. So I think that 16.3 million ounces is going to grow a lot. Now, we might need to be a little bit more patient with Origin, because I think the biggest catalyst in 2025 is the pre-feasibility study that AngloGold is currently working on. And that's set to be released in the second half of 2025, probably towards the end of 2025. But after we get that, or when we get that, we're going to find out a whole bunch about what's been going on there and about what's been going on with the drilling and what the potential production could look like of a future mine there. And I think that's going to give analysts and investors a lot more confidence to value this royalty properly. And when they have that confidence to value it properly, I think that stock is going to re-rate. And also, there's another thing that could potentially daylight some value here for Origin investors, and that is there's another company, Altius Minerals, who also has a royalty on the same project. And Altius is going through a sales process to sell their royalty. Now, a sale isn't guaranteed, but if they do sell it, I think the market is going to look at that. The Origin shareholders are going to look at that sale and be like, oh my gosh, that sold for way more than I was expecting. So therefore, Origin should be worth like $1.40 a share or $1.60 a share instead of $1.07 per share, for example. But aside from that silicone royalty in Nevada that's being advanced by AngloGold Ashanti, Origin is one of the best companies at generating prospective royalties. They are very, very good at what they do. They have a lot of cash on their balance sheet. They have no debt, very strong company, and they're really, really good at operating their business. So I like this company a lot. The next company that I think has awesome prospects for 2025 is the combination of Equinox Gold and Calibre Mining. Just a couple of days ago, these two companies announced that they're merging. Calibre Mining shareholders are going to get shares of Equinox Gold, trades under the ticker EQX, and is currently at $6.48 per share. But what do Equinox and Calibre have going on in 2025? Well, Equinox just finished or recently finished building their big new greenstone mine. And currently, that mine is ramping up to full production, to nameplate capacity. And each quarter, they're producing more and more gold from that mine, and these are low-cost ounces. So each quarter, this mine is contributing more and more cash to the company. And as that happens, Equinox is seeing a re-rating in their stock. So Calibre shareholders are going to get the advantage, or they're going to get the benefit of this re-rating from the greenstone mine ramping up. And then, as the greenstone mine is ramping up, Calibre is also finishing building a big new mine in Canada called the Valentine Mine. And the upcoming catalysts for that are them declaring that they've finished construction, them declaring first gold pour, ramping up to commercial production, and then after that, ramping up to nameplate capacity. And I think each one of those will be another catalyst to move the combined share price higher. And also in 2025, there's a big potential catalyst in Equinox's Los Filos mine. Well, this mine up until now hasn't been very profitable for Equinox, but they need to build a new processing facility to capture more of the gold, to get higher recovery rates there. And if they spend several $100 million to build this big new processing facility, this is a mine that could produce 360,000 pretty low-cost ounces per year. So it's a mine that could make them a lot of money, but they aren't going to make that investment unless there's a long-term economic agreement to make sure this mine stays profitable for a long time. This mine isn't in Equinox's guidance in 2025 because they need to come to an agreement with the 3 local communities around the mine. 2 of those communities have signed on to the new agreement, and there's 1 holdout. Now, there's very little information that Equinox, the company, is sharing about these agreements or these potential agreements for these communities. But I did some digging, and I found out which community is the holdout and what's going on with that community. So this is a community that is a communal group of landowners called an ejido. And this ejido has a population of about 1,000 people. Now Equinox is offering them a 2% royalty. They wanted 4%. But this 2% royalty shared amongst these 3 different communities, this community, I believe, to the best of my understanding, would get 1/3 of that. Based on the population of this community and how much money that royalty would generate if the mine's producing 360,000 ounces a year at $2,900 an ounce gold, well, that would result in an economic benefit of about $7,000 per person per year that lives in that community. $7,000 per year in rural southern Mexico, where a really good job pays $500 a month. That's a really good job pays $6,000 a year, and this royalty could give each person $7,000 a year, and that doesn't even account for the high-paying jobs that are also going to come along with this. So I think there's a lot of economic incentive for this third community to sign on. And I think the biggest reason they haven't signed on yet is probably because they think Equinox is bluffing about shutting down the mine if they don't reach an agreement. But I think they're going to come to an agreement because it's such a large economic incentive. And something else big that's going to be happening in 2025 for Equinox is their debt should be coming way down. They're a pretty leveraged company right now, but they're generating a lot of cash. They had a great quarter. Their most recent quarter was awesome. The cash balance went way up. The debt went way down. And I think that's going to continue to happen as these mines generate a lot of cash going forward. I really love this combined company. I hope the shareholders of both companies vote favorably for this transaction, because over the next 12 months, 24 months, 36 months, I think this stock has a lot of potential. But this video is about 2025, and I think it has a lot of potential in 2025 as well. I have 3 more companies to share with you, but keep in mind this is not an exhaustive list of the gold companies that I think have really great potential in 2025. There's some others that I'm looking at really closely as well. But with those, I didn't want to share them here because I might add them as a pick in my newsletter. And I want to make sure my newsletter subscribers have a chance to buy that first before the public, before I share this with everybody for free. If you're interested in knowing what I'm buying or selling with my own money and you like my work, consider signing up for my newsletter. Go to miningstockmonkey.com/products/VIP or click on this link right up here. I'll also link down to it in the comments and description below. The next company that I think is going to have a great 2025 is Endeavor Mining. It trades over the counter in the US under the ticker EDVMF and is currently at $20.73 per share. Now, this is another company that had a rough 2024, and right now I think, based on my analysis, I did a deep dive into this, you can watch that right here if you're interested, but based on my analysis, this company is very cheap. And in 2025, CapEx is down quite a bit, production is up quite a bit, and they recently finished 1 new mine build and 1 new expansion project that are currently in the process of ramping up to full capacity. Now, they had some problems in 2024, but they're working through those problems, and I think those problems are going to be mostly fixed by the end of Q1 2025. But anyway, I suspect that they're going to have a really good 2025, and you do take on some West African political risk by buying this company, but you get it at a gigantic discount to its North American peers, and they are a very, very good operator. They're really, really good at what they do, and I think shareholders are going to benefit this year. The next company that I think is going to do really well in 2025 is Empress Royalty. It trades over the counter in the US under the ticker EMPYF and is currently trading at 26 cents per share. So something about royalty companies recently, when it comes to the market valuing them, the market is giving them very little value for growth, for future growth, and the market wants to see cash flow. Well, one of the reasons, a big reason why Empress is on this 2025 list is because Empress's cash flow in 2025 should be increasing substantially. Now, one of the hardest parts about owning Empress is that the company needs to grow, because right now it's a very small company and they need to buy more assets. But they haven't done a transaction in over a year. Now, the fact that they haven't done a transaction in over a year, and the fact that I know that they're looking at a lot of deals, tells me that they're being very, very selective about what deals they close. So I'm glad that they're not growing just to grow, and that they're being very careful about what deals they select to move forward with. But it looks like they will have another deal closing in Q2 of this year. Right now, they're super, super cheap on a price to NAV basis and also on a price to cash flow basis. And both of those things should get even better. And they say that this new deal that they're working on is from a gold and silver mine in the USA. And another reason why I'm very bullish on Empress in 2025 is because I'm very bullish on the silver price in 2025. But in my research, I have a very hard time finding a quality silver company at an affordable price, or at at a reasonable price. But 39% of Empress's net asset value is in silver. And that's a very high percentage. It is hard to find a company with that percentage of NAV related to silver. Like, for example, one of the most popular silver companies is Pan American Silver. In 2024, Pan American Silver got about 20% of their revenue from silver, and they're called a silver company. Well, Empress is about double that. Empress is 39% of their NAV comes from silver. And as you get towards the end of a bull market in gold, or as the bull market in gold matures, the silver price tends to catch up and then far outpace the gain in the price of gold. And I'm betting on that happening soon. I don't know if that's going to happen in 2025, if it's going to happen in 2026 or 27, or if it's going to happen at all. But in past bull markets and past gold bull markets, it has happened. So I want some money in place in case that happens. But anyway, I think Empress Royalty is going to have a great 2025, and this would be one of my top picks for this year. But when it comes to Empress, this stock isn't super liquid. Between its over-the-counter listing in the US and in Canada, well, it only trades about 250,000 shares a day. And considering it's only priced at 26 cents per share, that's what, like $50,000 a day, maybe a little bit more than that? So, if you're going to buy Empress, use good till cancel limit orders and be patient. Let the market come to you. Let the market fill your order instead of trying to chase it. I highly, highly recommend you don't use market orders on relatively illiquid stocks like this. The next company that I think is going to have a great year in 2025 is Gold Royalty Corp. It trades in the US under the ticker GROY, and right now it's at $1.35 per share. So like Empress, this is a royalty and streaming company. And right now, as I said about Empress, the market wants to see cash flow, and it's giving very little value for future growth for most of these royalty companies, or most of these small royalty companies. And like Empress, Gold Royalty's revenue is going to grow a lot in 2025 because they have 3 projects that are either ramping up to full production or about to go into production. And from those 3 additional projects, they are going to be generating a lot of additional revenue. As a matter of fact, in 2025, their revenue should more than double as compared to 2024. And that's assuming they don't make any more acquisitions. And something else I like about Gold Royalty Corp is that they recently refinanced their debt. As a matter of fact, this was just a couple of days ago. They dropped the interest rate on their revolving credit facility by 100 basis points. And their interest rate is based on SOFR plus a premium. So their premium just went down by 1%. But also SOFR has been coming down. And SOFR is the secured overnight funding rate. Basically, it's like known as the risk-free rate. So SOFR is coming down because interest rates have come down, and then their premium to SOFR has come down. So their interest expense is going to be coming down a lot as well. And something else I like about Gold Royalty Corp is that they're really cheap on a price to NAV basis. And I think that as their revenue increases in 2025, that discount to NAV is going to come down a bit. So I think that will help the share price out as well. So let me know if you find this style of video helpful, if you like it or not, and maybe I'll make more like it in the future.